Wow, what a debate. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in and get some quick reaction. Tom, and you get booted up there, Tara. Um, uh, take it away. Tell me what your thoughts were.
Stuart, you were tweeting. I mean, why don't you share some of the things that you tweeted tonight? Because I thought they were really spot on, and then I'll be happy to react.
Well, look, I worked with Romney. He had a pretty good first debate. But I think this was by far the most impressive debate performance in modern politics. I've really never seen anything like it. I was just thinking about what a joy it would be to work with her in debate prep because she has so much skill and just natural ability. You can't teach this stuff. And I thought that the main thing I thought was so impressive was she made the case for herself, but did not allow this to be a normal debate between two people who have different political philosophies. She kept coming back to the fact that Donald Trump was a criminal, what he had done. And I think that's she made it look easy, but man, that is a very difficult dive from a high platform into a small pool, and she pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have just a couple of thoughts, and I want to hear from Tara. Is that, listen, she won the debate. It wasn't even close. Trump sounded batshit crazy and small, pathetic, weak,
Angry,
petulant. He occasionally spoke English. It was hard to follow him at times. It was impenetrable, his language. But I think the thing that is most important is, as good as everything was tonight, because of how he spoke and the things that he said and the number of just completely unbelievable, as we were discussing earlier tonight, the wild, delusional lies and her, frankly, repeated, brutal lines, right? Tara was saying earlier tonight, she's got to have those moments. Well, she had those moments, and they are going to become, the next few days, as bad as this debate was for Trump, it's going to get a lot worse. Because the aftermath and the commentary on this, I think, is going to be brutal. And the social stuff about the humiliating, ridiculous things that he said and her brutal takedown lines, of which there were many. It wasn't 2 or 3. It was 5, 6, 7, or 8. When we go back and look at it, this stuff that's going to last over the next few days is going to make this thing feel far, far worse for him. So we had a really good night, and we're having the election that we all wanted to have. We are kicking his ass, and we're going to go win this thing.
Tara?
Yeah, I can't agree more. I mean, I don't think that she just had the moments that she needed. She also created the moments from Trump that we needed.
Yeah, right. Very good point.
He talked about eating dogs. He talked about, I mean, the clips that we're already seeing move like wildfire on TikTok, on Courier's TikTok right now, from just moments from the debate. These are the ones that the most people are going to see who were not paying attention tonight. And the first hour, which was the most important hour, she eviscerated him. And she also, she did it with such grace and integrity. Right. She was able to weave between providing actual solutions and plans and connecting emotionally with the American people, especially on the issue of abortion and reproductive freedom and access. I thought that moment very early on in the debate, she had already won the debate. He never recovered from that. She cornered him. He flip-flopped multiple times, and then he continued to say that he would not actually reinstill Roe. He would not veto a total abortion ban. I mean, she got him exactly where she wanted him. And so it wasn't just the masterclass that she put on in terms of actually being the president that we want to elect and see lead this country and turn the page, as she said many times, from this past era of division and chaos that he has sowed, but also was able to let us see him in his most natural state. When he was composed at the beginning, that all unraveled because she was so strategic and artful in her baiting of him to let him actually show his true colors. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant and spot on. And I think someone named Patrick in the chat said this will age well, and I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I thought one of the most impressive moments, just in a debate sense, is when she got asked about Afghanistan and she said, "I agree with President Biden." because that is the dead on best answer to give. It makes her look strong. She takes the responsibility. And, something like that, it's hard to do. It's such a temptation to say, well, we could have done it better or this. And I don't know, just incredible debate performance.
And both of you alluded to this in your comments, is that, look, Stuart, we talked about this the other day. I think Trump is an idiot. I think that one of the explanations for Trump, and we all think he's like got these super plans. He's a mastermind, and he won the election in 2016. But there's also this element of him just being an idiot, and he walked into so many traps tonight that they clearly prepared him for. That they clearly, that he is such an impulsive, angry idiot that he continued. There were moments in the debate where I kept wondering, like, oh, there's such an obvious place for him to go, and he just never went there, right? And it's just, I don't know. He did unbelievable damage to him. And what we talked about earlier tonight was that every time he speaks, if you actually listen to him, he does damage to himself. And can't we just all laugh, because we discussed this earlier tonight, that he went into the dog thing, right? Like, he couldn't help himself. And the thing is, the aftermath of that is going to be devastating. And the anchors, who I think still gave him too much room because he's a bully and he pushes himself around, they really challenged him on that in a way that was, to what we discussed earlier tonight, is they needed to pierce the veil. They needed to go in and say, stop the bullshit. Like, this is unbelievable, the crazy stuff you're saying. And David Muir did it at that moment on the dog thing, of all the things that he could have chosen. And it was, I think, a really devastating moment for him, because it was like the real world saying to the crazy world, like, you guys stop it. It's just too much. And anyway, I was so flabbergasted after the last debate about how crazy Trump was, and it got no coverage. There was no discussion about it. This is going to dominate the discourse over the next couple of days, and they're in deep shit. I mean, he had a really historically awful debate tonight, and she was great, but he was also really bad. And it's going to really matter, I think, in the aftermath of this thing.
She was great. And I also think that it's really important to note her composure. It was actually calming to watch the entire time, and to watch him really emotionally unravel at multiple intervals. Like, yes, I agree, he's an idiot. I mean, there's no question about that. He's also, like, not emotionally that stable. He's not able to regulate his emotional responses. What do we want in a leader? What do most people want? They don't want that chaos. They want some security and stability. And I think that was the contrast we were all hoping for also with the Biden-Trump debate, right? And that we very much got in this debate was just an incredibly clear contrast on who's actually ready for this job and who's going, like, beyond all of the horrific things that he would promise to do. But, he went everywhere. He really showed his really unraveled self. He went from accusing and blaming Nancy Pelosi for January 6th to the dogs comments, to cornering himself and flip-flopping on abortion. I mean, all over the map, there was just, he did not land an answer or land a hit on Kamala that I think will stick.
Yeah, I just, as somebody that worked in the Republican Party, God help me, my message to all my old friends is, this is your
legacy. Welcome you, Stuart. We're so grateful.
But this is your legacy. This isn't about Donald Trump. It's about you. You didn't have to accept this. Nobody made you vote for Trump. You were given alternatives going back to 2016. And this is what you got. And this is who you are. You can't walk away from this. And, it went from a party that I was drawn to, from Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, to now it's about eating dogs. I mean, the smallest of stuff. It's just so shameful that the party has gone along with this. And, I think she's going to win. She's going to win big. But I think the party is still going to stay in this crazy zone until they lose again and again and again.
It is. It was stunning tonight. For some
Yeah.
reason, look, when Stuart, this in a campaign, right? Like you can be pushing and pushing and pushing, and you have no idea what's going to be the thing that breaks something
Yeah.
open, right? There's serendipity, there's luck, there are these moments, right? And again, going back, I guess what I want to say, just going back to what Tara was saying, and what both of you have said, is that she was amazing tonight, and she had to tell us who she was tonight.
Right.
And this was her big job. This is what we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Yes, she had to indict him, and that was important. But at the end of the day, and I still think that there were two kind of crazy moments to me in the beginning, in the early moments of the debate. One was she went to go shake his hand, and he was very uncertain about whether he
Yeah.
was going to shake her hand. And, they had never met, right? And she, like just a regular human, like went up to say, "Hey, nice to meet you." And he was like avoiding her and moving away. It was
Yeah.
wildly awkward. He didn't respond to her vocally,
It was
right?
a boss move.
Yeah, no, it was like, how did you fuck that up, right, Trump? Like, you knew that was coming, but it was also, and then the second thing was her facial expressions, she crushed him in the split screen and in ways that were so amazing about her. There were moments when you could just see her react in real time about the craziness. And that was like all of us, like connecting to the craziness that we were listening to. And so she had these, in addition to her, her words and the way she conducted herself, there was also in the way that we've come to learn about her understanding of the visuals and the way that, power and strength
Right.
was really on display tonight. Like, I mean, she's a very sophisticated actor in the way this stuff all works and how it's communicated,
Hard
which is
to do.
yeah, and which is something that's exploded across our screens over the last few weeks. And it exploded tonight in a way where, I don't know, she's got this innate, power. I mean, she's a gifted athlete, political athlete, and it was on display tonight. And his wildness, impulsiveness, and everything else was also just, thrown down our throat. My son, who's 22, who's not very partisan guy, but who follows politics, sent me an image tonight. It's like, this is me watching Trump, and he's like it's a gif of a guy all curled up in the corner, like scared, because I don't think he understood how crazy Trump was, like until he actually watched this whole debate tonight. Anyway, Tara.
Well, I also don't think that Trump is someone that actually genuinely respects many women. So
Exactly.
I think that he underestimated her and underestimates her and most women generally. And I do want to go back just for one more second to the moment in the exchange on abortion, because it's going to be one that I think really, really, really gets replayed over and over again as a really critical moment, because you saw on his face that she in some ways persuaded him by leading with the personal story and the impact. And there was absolutely no performance to it. She knows as a woman the actual visceral feeling that it is to feel that your bodily autonomy is going to be taken away, and those rights being taken away, and the impact of that, and the impact of the abortion bans that he put forward. And you saw her get him where, to the point that he was trying to peel back his actual impact that he's had by putting the Supreme Court justices in place. And you could see that exchange, and everybody, I feel like, was at the edge of their seats with it. And they were able to continue the debate, and she never once got smug, right? That was the other thing, Simon, to your point about the two screens, like not once, because that's not what it was about. I think she really entered this debate knowing that the stakes of this election, the stakes of this race, what is at stake when it comes to democracy and when it comes to our rights and our freedoms in this country. And she really did represent the American people in the debate. It did not feel like a performance to me. It felt like she was so aligned with her purpose and the immense responsibility she did not even ask for at this point in time that she has accepted and really risen to the occasion.
I just, as a sort of a small thing, but I was thinking, under the debate commission, they had rules that did not allow split screens, that when you couldn't show reaction shots. And, I just think not having that rule changed so that now you can see that split screen is just so powerful. And it's more like what it's like to be in the room.
Yeah.
because, you do see both of them. You don't have to look at the person talking. So, and I don't know, what did you guys think about the job the moderators did?
Far better
Mm-hmm.
than the last time. And I do think that they, I still think they got pushed around a little bit by Trump.
Yeah.
And my wife and I were watching, and that was making her crazy during
Yeah.
the debate. And even when Kamala towards the end asked for that extra time, they denied it, which was a little
Yeah.
strange. And by the way, the debate ran over, which is also kind of incredible. Right? Of all the things you can do in these debates, like running over, right? Like it was like, oh my God. But look, it was far more like what they embarrassed CNN tonight. They embarrassed Dana Bash and Jake Tapper tonight. And even with a light touch, it was still a very light touch. But they also, just in terms of the subject matter, right? They didn't allow Trump, because part of the whole conceit of Trump is that you can't raise things that upset him, right? Because you think he's a bully and he's going to explode. And so he's created, I think, in our culture, this unwillingness of people to raise the things, the rapist, fraudster, traitor, felon. All these things about him that are all true that we don't really talk about, because there's a sense that it's going to make MAGA mad and you're going to get attacked on Twitter if you raise these things, right? They went there tonight repeatedly on stuff that was deeply uncomfortable for him that he never gets asked about.
Yeah.
And it was, and he didn't handle it well, and it was necessary. There were things that he got asked tonight that he has been able to avoid and duck, for years and years and years. And to, ABC News's credit and the moderators' credit, I think they did what was needed to be done at this moment in this country at this time, and they did a really good job.
Tara, what did you think of the moderators?
Yeah, I actually agree entirely. I thought that the moderation was excellent, especially compared to CNN's for the first debate. I think they learned some of the lessons from CNN's, especially related to thoughtful fact checking in real time and holding Trump accountable. And I had the same yell at the refs moment when they denied her time to respond to his lies about the fracking position of the vice president. And so I thought they were doing a great job. That moment was frustrating because they had definitely let him take time, but that was about it. Other than that, I thought it was a really exceptional job by ABC.
Yeah, I that was driving me crazy too. I was like yelling at the ref, but I wonder if he really helped himself in those moments. Because what he was saying, it became this parody of like, get off my lawn. This guy like just yelling, yelling at a woman who's very composed. That's just so unattractive.
Yeah, and it often doesn't serve him the longer he talks, right?
No.
He doesn't say, if you had I was thinking if we had the live transcription of the people that watch with captions, which is a lot of people. It's not coherent, most of his sentences, but.
Well, and the other thing is, I also think that her basic approach to all that stuff, which is we're not going back, is super powerful.
Yeah.
Right? Look, she has settled very quickly on a handful of these sort of touchstone phrases that have been wildly powerful. Stuart, you know that you can go an entire campaign and never really settle on things that land, right?
Yeah, I've been there.
Her simple line about how we don't want to just get by, we want to get ahead, I think is one of the most elegant, remarkable political lines since I've been in the business. And the way that she uses, we're not going back, we're going forward, has been, and what she's saying is we're not going back to that and to the chaos and the lunacy that you're listening to. And it just works, it's just, and this is all her stuff. The New Way Forward came out of experimentation and trying stuff. Some of this was written from the early days, but some of this is just, her saying stuff at debate, in the events and them getting strong feedback from it and then incorporating it into the thing. But I've written about this a lot on Hopium. These touchstone phrases that she has are the fact that they settled on so many that are so effective so quickly has been incredible. And it's helped make her more accessible to people, right? It's helped, create an opening where you can connect with her and made her more proximate as opposed to more distant. And it's just been very, very effective. And I'm, look, she's kicking ass right now, and they should be. It is going to be interesting to watch your former colleague Stuart, and whether we get, a quarter of the quotes being "we're in deep shit" and "we're in trouble," with the 3/4 of the quotes blustery about how he, wiped the floor with her and everything else. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the next couple of days.
I'd really be interested in following these Senate races and how many Republican candidates are going to go out there in these tight races and say, I thought Donald Trump had a great night. That'll be the real tell here. And how many are going to be saying, on the phone to Trump campaign tomorrow, saying, look, I got to have your guy in here. I want him here. I want to stand on the stage with Donald Trump, I don't think that's going to be happening a lot.
I mean, one of her strongest moments was when she listed out all of the people who used to work for him and the quotes against him that they said. And, his rebuttal to that was that he fired those people. And then one of her most memorable lines of the entire debate was that Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. And he's having a tough time processing that. I mean, it was so good.
And his face, by the way, at that was the most, I think it was the most alarmed moment. Like, he was most visibly shaken, I think, at that line of the whole night. That's just my read of it. And she got under his skin. She rattled him. They had a strategy to do that. But of course, because he's an impulsive idiot, he took the bait repeatedly, but look, Stuart, to your point that you said at the very beginning, is that there were so many layers of her success tonight, right? The emotional connection, the willingness to stand up to him, her making her own case, but also that they rattled him,
Yeah. I know. Go back to that Tim Alberta piece early on that he wrote for The Atlantic, where Susie Wild and Chris Acevedo were saying not only that they were going to win, but they were going to win by a landslide.
Yeah.
And I know both those people. They're not idiots. And the reason they're saying that is the same reason Donald Trump's doctor says, he'd be the most fit president ever. That's kind of how you have to negotiate Trump world. The way you rise in Trump world is by flattery and telling him he's always right. So there's nobody in that world, when he walks off stage, is going to tell him, look, this was bad, and we're going to lose if you don't change. That just is not going to happen in Trump world, because they won't have a job.
And all we have to do is look at Truth Social, probably very soon, if it hasn't happened already, to know exactly how he feels about Kamala Harris after that debate.
Yeah, the guy is going to be up all night blasting away. Well, look, guys, I don't want to keep everybody all night. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And you should definitely follow Courier News Organization. I just find it so astounding what they're doing. It just shows, takes something that's so difficult to do and making it work and doing it with a lot of excitement and grace. And it's just amazing. And it's just an incredible accomplishment. And if you haven't discovered the Hopium Chronicles, you got to subscribe to it on Substack.
Get your dose every day.
It's my first read every day. So thank you. And everybody support Resolute Square. This is what we're doing. It's going to be just one of us at a time doing this. No one's going to come and save us. So thank you.
And so fun, Stuart.
Well, Stuart, listen, Stuart, and everybody, remember, when we fight, we win. And, it's been a great night. We got to take the wins when they come. We got early vote starts in 10 days. We got to go win this thing in the early vote in October. Take all this enthusiasm and energy and blow out the early vote and just crush them in the early vote like we did in 2022.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity, everybody, now to translate all this energy, passion, intensity into real concrete action. And that's our job now, right, as we go forward. So thank you, Stuart, for everything. I learned so much from you. whenever I'm with you guys, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow in another setting.
Yeah, no, really look forward to it, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, here's the better days ahead. All right.
Yes. Okay.
Good night,
Take care,
everybody.
everybody.